Morning, everybody. It is another early Dow of the day. This week's going to be filled with these. Actually, not really. Today is going to be the last early Dow of the day, probably for the rest of the week. My guess is the following Dows of the day are going to be a little bit more reasonable in terms of time. Hello, everybody. This is Dow of the Day, and I'm your host, Martin John. I would love if you stepped up and picked a number between 1 and 81. Join me and give me a number between 1 and 81. Why, you ask? Because this is Dow of the Day. Tony, welcome back. How you doing, man? Yes, Dow of the Day. We are just launching right off with Tony. Tony, how you
Good
doing,
morning,
man?
brother.
Good morning.
I'm doing good.
Good. Glad to hear that.
You're close to me. You're in the Chi. I'm in LaPorte, Indiana.
LaPorte. I know LaPorte. I do a lot in Northwest Indiana, actually. I'm going to be doing.
Do
Yeah,
you?
I have a good friend of mine out there, and I've done a lot in Hammond. We did a lot of work in
Yeah,
Hammond,
I'm familiar with Hammond.
Indiana. What's that?
I'm familiar with Hammond. Grew up in Gary.
Okay,
So,
yeah. Well,
right. So it's,
ain't nobody in Gary anymore.
well, yeah,
I
there's people
tease, I
there,
tease.
but
It's going through a real tough time right now.
yeah, it is.
I was
Economics,
actually
especially, man, the way it's up and down.
I was actually in Gary a couple weeks ago, just for a friend of mine was graduating college out there, and I went there, and I don't know what to say about Gary. My heart goes out to Gary because I've been going to Gary, I don't know, more than the last 20 years, and 20 years ago I thought it was depressed, and now I just like I don't like everything's just shut down.
Yeah. I have great memories there, though, when I was a kid. And so, hey, everything can turn around, man. Everything happens for a reason, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing some speaking out there. I'm gonna be doing a project at there's the in Munster they have an art center, and I have a history of the arts, and I was invited to
Right on.
I was invited to do a talk over there in July. So, but I'll keep you updated on that. You can come down and
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like, get
yeah,
out there, maybe meet you firsthand. That'd be great, brother.
absolutely, man. All
Okay,
right,
so
so let's look. I'm looking at numbers on the Dow. What do you got for me?
18.
18.
Yeah,
18.
that's what I'm feeling. 18.
All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so this is, I like to preface this because I understand this one. I've read it a bunch of times. This is about dissolution, right? This is about dissolving, and this is going to be something that may, like be connected to our conversation just now about Gary. When the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When a country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. And that's it. What are some of your
Wow.
ideas? So, for me, this piece, this is about dissolving of our connection to our highest selves, to Tao. Or like when the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. Like the idea of that you can define goodness, that you can, like, oh, I'm a good person, and you can lean on that. But when you're connected to all your facilities and aren't living under the influence of anything, then you're not afraid to be bad because everything is coming from a good place. It's coming from a place of love. And that's that first.
Acknowledgement.
What's that?
Acknowledgement, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And it says goodness and piety is just like, as a religious sense, it's like, being reverent. But you don't have to be reverent towards some, like, it actually, when society demands us to be reverent, those people that we're reverent to often get to be pretty megalomaniacs,
Right. Right.
because they're like, oh, I deserve this. No, you don't actually. each and every person on this planet, even myself, deserve that reverence. Now, how can we give it and call some motherfuckers out that need to be called out? When we forget the Tao, when we forget the highest order of things, then we start to lean on goodness, and we start to lean on this idea that, like, oh, you got to treat these people in a better way than you treat other people. When the
I'm
body's
listening.
in, yeah, when the body's intelligence declines, when the body's intelligence, then I look at that as like intuition, cleverness, and knowledge step forth. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, we look at so much, right? Cleverness and knowledge is about like cutting those corners. It's just, oh, like I can be clever. I can get a little more here. And then we look at the steel mills and stuff of Northwest Indiana and all that and all
Right.
the and all the and all of the well, we can get cheaper labor in China. We can get cheaper metal in China. We can get cheaper everything in China. And so we're gonna
Right.
send all of our and then every
So let's get
every
more in debt with China.
right. But then and then all of a sudden, like, ain't nobody got no money because there ain't no jobs. Because the people who worked there were union. The people who worked there were like, they were skilled. The people who
Hmm.
worked there demanded a living wage. And it's like, well, if we're smart, we can cut that corner. Cleverness and knowledge. And the body's intelligence is that intuition that, like, you know what, maybe we should keep these jobs here. How many people were saying that? But then the people were just sending the jobs away anyway. It's
Right.
like, well, why? Because, well, it doesn't make sense to leave it here. It doesn't make sense to pay people more money. It doesn't make sense to pay people more money in the country that I'm living in. Wait, how does that not make sense? Well,
Right.
on
Or
the
the fact that I
books,
would I would I would incorporate more by keeping it within my company
right?
and facing whatever it is I got to face to be a staple in my jurisdiction, if you will, or my area of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is
Wow.
all about dissolving. This is like the first step. You lean on goodness. Next step, you lean on cleverness. When there's no peace in the family, even like in the family, like here it is, the company could be, can seen as the head of the household, and then passing out all of the, money to those underneath. Filial piety begins, meaning, you know what, you need to tell us we're great because we're going to get offended, and if we get offended, we're going to take your jobs away. And then that doesn't even work. And that's like that filial piety, meaning like make sure that the head of household gets all the credit, and all of that. And we look at the countries, and everyone's patting all the car companies on the back, and look at Detroit and Gary.
Right.
And when the countries fall into chaos, patriotism is born. And then they go through, after all of this, after you have nothing to stand on, they pass out free flags and say, keep waving them. And it works. And then we start voting against our own best interests.
Right.
And when we
Well, it's
do
pretty
that,
deep.
we sit here and we actually embrace, this patriotism. We embrace the things that have brought us to this place, that we're starving, that we have no support, that we have no safety. And on the other side of that, there is a return, right? Like when it starts with patriotism, then if you can drop the patriotism and just kind of be like, okay, well, let's look at, and this happens quicker once you realize that you can drop the patriotism without actually being an anti-patriot, or without being bad. Like, actually, a good patriot, someone who loves their country, is going to call people out. They're not just going to, wave their flag. You're going to call people out, and that's going to take away that filial piety, and you'll begin to have decent open discussion right now. I mean, right now, like, there's there is so much discord in our country, and when we look
Well,
at
there's no heart
Gary,
to heart.
when we
There's no
yeah,
heart to heart.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no honest, open conversation because everyone's trying to be clever. Everyone's trying to do this filial piety. We want to praise head of household. We're trying to be clever, and then when we can't be clever, we're going to try and hide behind goodness, and we don't even see that very much. Goodness, like just pure goodness. We're hardly seeing that anywhere, right? So
Well, and then
we're
what
di- go on.
you do see that's fake, you know that it's not goodness, and you watch
Mm-hmm.
people absorb that.
That's right.
Well, what else are you going to do? So I'm going to absorb it.
That's right.
Well, yeah.
So and then once you can like let go, once we can as masters, right? Once we are masters of ourselves, we can let go of the idea that I want to be good. When we can let go of that completely, I want to be good, meaning I want to do the right thing. It's like, no, no, no. Be here. Be in this moment right now. Because when you can be in this moment right now, you will be in line with the Tao. You will be in line with your highest self. If you try to be good, if you try to be clever, if you try to, understand that, the CEO is more important than the receptionist, then you've lost touch with the greatest thing that you are, the greatest thing that you have connection with, and that's the Tao, and that's something that just springs from you without an explanation. You don't need to explain like, oh, like I did A and B because of, that's transactional. So many of our relationships are transactional. It's like, well, I'll be nice to you if you're nice to me. It's
Right.
like,
Give and take, a balance.
that's right.
I'll
But
put in,
really,
you take out.
it's just like, nope, give regardless of what you're getting, and you will get like in the words of like religion, you'll get heaven, right? You'll get heaven
You'll get heaven.
if you can give without the need for some to get something in return. And that's the thing that, you know that's when we look at Detroit, when we look at Gary, and we look at these places, and this isn't the first world. You don't
No,
even
these are
fresh
these are
water.
towns that were booming. I mean, booming. I'm
Yeah.
57 years old, Martin. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm a product of a lot of that.
Yeah.
So looking at it, and you see, you have the casinos around there and everything else, and you know,
Blood from a stone, man.
yeah, why right directly in front of the businesses that have come in here and promised to do the things. And again, I don't want to make this a political thing, but
No, 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 no.
looking at it realistically, they came in, and I don't have to name these businesses. The casinos come in, the different things come in, and the jobs come in, right? But they take from the heart of what is going on there.
And they
And
don't keep the money in
sadly
town.
enough, yes, sadly enough, these cities are suffering because they were staples at times that would make them, say the capital of the state, which really, you know what I mean,
I do.
during that time. And now, we've sold everything out for convenience.
Yeah, and comfort.
You were right, right. The minute you push this on the phone, boom, here you are. And again, in a world where social media is like that, also, this, and I'm
Yeah.
not here to down anybody because we're both using it.
Yeah.
And my mindset on it is, well, it could be a depreciating thing, or it could be a thing to, open eyes, as
Hmm.
well as yours and ideas to other things that you
Yeah.
hear, or something that you thought was a staple that you'll hear, and it hits you so hard, and it's not in front of you, and you're actually hearing somebody, the soul of them or what they've been through, and you see where it could, be a correction in your life. That's deep stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And it slowly dissolves, and it slowly gets, it's not like, like the rug getting pulled out from under us, like they have to first start, and they do this in social media now. They have to first start by convincing us that they know what's best for us.
Right.
And And that's when our body's intelligence declines, because we start trusting someone outside of us. And because I'm coming from addiction and everything, I always say they start to get us living under their influence. And once we're under their influence, they can do whatever they want. I mean, I drank and smoked and did drugs, did all of these things at the expense of myself. And that's what we're doing in Gary. That's what we've done in Gary. That's what we've done in Detroit. And it takes a long time to come back from that.
Yeah, and just like I say, Staples years ago in an economy that was more USA based, I would say.
Yeah. We don't make
And again,
anything here.
I'm not political at all. I'm really not.
Yeah, neither am I. Tony, thank you so much for joining me. If you wanted to come back up and land that, that'd be great. Otherwise, like, we did go through 18. It was beautiful. I really appreciate that. If anybody else wants to come up and pick a number between 1 and 81, I do have to do a hard stop in about an hour. Not that we like, usually when I come on, not everybody wants to step up, and I don't get a whole lot of listeners in the morning, but I do have to do a hard stop in an hour. So I always like to give myself a little space so I can talk with you guys. That was beautiful being able to cover 18. Really kind of hitting home here in the Midwest. We definitely have some depressed areas, especially Gary. Detroit is making a bit of a comeback. They had to destroy half of their city in order to do that. So if you're interested in picking a Dow for today, I would love to hear from you. We picked 18 with Tony, and I'm probably going to pick a number. And, like, I always like to do different translations and stuff. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to pick this morning. So if anybody wants to step up, I want to let you guys know that I do have a subscription service now. So if you're interested in the stuff that I talk about, and I don't always talk about the Tao, but I always talk about you recovering yourself. And if you're interested in learning about how you can recover yourself more every day, you're going to want to check out the links in my bio. Well, I'm going to pick 19. He picked 18. I'm going to pick 19. I'm going to see where this goes. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Ain't that the truth? Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these three aren't enough, just stay in the center of the circle and let things take their course. So I'm picking 19. That's 19. And that's a really beautiful one. And it really kind of plays off of everything that we read in 18. So my first thought is, just like in 18, William, we're gonna pause on 19. We're gonna bring William up, and we're gonna see what number William wants to uh, wants to look at today. William, how you doing?
Well, you have to explain to me. I've tried listening to you a couple times, and I'm just not real sure what it is you're doing. So you have to explain it to me, because it sounds real interesting, especially
Yeah.
the part you just read. That cracked me up. I'm like, yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, that happened. So the Tao Te Ching is an ancient text. It was written 600 BCE, and that was around the same time scholars say that the Old Testament was being written. And so, and that's just a reference. But it consists of 81 short chapters, and the Tao Te Ching translates to the canon of reason. So it is the collection of writings that will help any individual live a reasonable life. And
Okay.
and so everything that we read in here really relates to letting go of being under the influence of other things. Being controlled by external things. And it talks a lot about this thing that it references this thing called the Tao. And the Tao is in everything. The Tao is kind of like this ultimate feminine, right? This ultimate void, the darkness, the blackness, the space.
Okay.
The space and everything. Even within your cells, there is space, and that space is Tao. And so you are connected to it, and it is connected to you. And and the Tao allows things to happen. The Tao will yield to anything. There is no good and evil when you talk about the Tao. And the
Hmm.
Tao is, in the Tao it says it is older than God. So
Okay.
that is what we do. And what I do is I ask you to pick a number. You pick a number, and then I'll read it, and then I'll get some of your thoughts on it, and then we'll go through it line by line, and we'll see if it has anything. This is very often similar to like drawing a card in tarot as well, because it often has, when we pick a number, it often has a message that is for us.
Hmm. Yes, I'm interested. I am. I love to learn new stuff. It's wisdom. You learn stuff, you got wisdom.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You learn it, you let it go, and you figure out where it's going. So, do you have a number between 1 and 81?
181. Let's see. Well, uh, we'll go with my age. No, how many years I've been sober in October this year. We'll go with 30.
30. Congratulations on that. I did know that. Okay, so number 30 says, whoever relies on the Tao in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force, there is a counterforce. Violence, even well intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. The master does his job and then he stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. That's 30.
Well, that's interesting, good stuff.
Yeah.
I can get into all of that.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's just break this down sort of line by line and see like this first line. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men, and when we talk about governing men, it's not only like being a manager or being a governor or being a politician, because you govern your body. And
Mm-hmm.
your body is full of cells, and we can call those cells, and we can call the thoughts you give those cells like men, right? So whoever relies on Tao in governing anything doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms.
Mm-hmm.
For every force there is a counterforce. Violence, even well intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself.
Always.
So, do you have any stories about that?
Oh, I'm a professional soldier, my friend.
Okay.
So, yes, United States Army, and some time working for the Department of Defense, the DoD.
Mm-hmm.
So, and finding solutions that don't increase the violence, or that you can come to the same goal without the violence, is something that I've always looked for. But in most cases, being a soldier, you're in the violent business, and you
Yes.
avoid it sometimes. But if at all possible, you do try to get in and out without any violence, because once the violence starts, it just perpetuates itself, and it
That's
goes
right.
on to the collateral damage and unintended results from it. So always try to avoid violence. Figure if I have to get violent outside of that work area in my personal life, then I failed as,
Yeah.
as a mature man, because a mature man doesn't have to turn to violence
Yeah.
unless then the self defense, and there's no other way to save someone else or yourself.
Yeah. There is another verse in the Tao that says, that talks about weapons. Yeah, this is so you pick 30, and 31 says, weapons are the tool of violence. All decent men detest them.
Mm-hmm.
And this comes right after this. For every force there is a counterforce. Violence, even, and this is something that I'm feeling like, you have a heavy heart around, right? Like I
How
feel
can you
that, like,
say? Yeah.
Violence, even well intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. And imagine if in the army they would like look at this. Like look at this text that was written at 600 BCE. This isn't new, you
Mm,
know? Like, and they know about this. They know this. They can't not, right? These like I know generals are have read the Tao and that and 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 understanding this simple line, violence, even well intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself, and we know that. You know, even like if you're in a bar,
yeah. For every action is
wherever you're
yeah,
at,
yeah,
the minute you yell at somebody, that's violent, and
yeah.
that is going to escalate and escalate and escalate. I was watching, I was walking down, and there was a cop, and he was talking to somebody, and I just kind of paused, and everything was cool, and then I kind of noticed that the cop was escalating. And as somebody who works with drug and alcohol and all this kind of stuff, people like, I was just kind of paused and just kind of hanging out, and I simply stated, "Officer, you're escalating." And as soon as he recognized that he was escalating, of course he said, "Stay out of it." But as soon as he recognized it, he stopped. He can tell me to stay out of it all he wants. It was my job in that moment to just remind him that his job is not to escalate.
Exactly.
Because as he started to escalate, the only place that's going to go is violence.
Yeah, and you see it on these cases on TV where these men have been killed, and it's all because instead of stopping with the point where they were at, they let it escalate. They went on further with it. They could have
Yeah.
stopped at several points in between before the tragedy, and
Yeah.
they and there were several people who could have said stop,
Yeah.
and
And
so
and
it's
I did an
choice.
interview for my podcast. I host the Recover Yourself podcast. And I did an interview with somebody about revenge.
Uh,
And he stated, and I think I'm gonna do this some justice, but he stated most people that are in prison today are not psychopaths. They're not sociopaths. They're normal people like you and me who, under certain circumstances, couldn't control their response.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
that's it. That's it. They just could, and that could be you, that could be me, that could be anybody at any point, just not be able to control our need to get revenge or our need to respond to something someone said.
Right.
Even though in our mind we're like, we could stop here, but it's like, mm, but I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling like you're taking advantage of me, and I gotta take a
Anger and
stand.
violence are the easiest emotions and actions to go to
That's
whenever
right.
anything happens.
Yeah.
Anger, go right to anger. It's easier to express and easier to deal with than hurt feelings and feelings of rejection, feelings of embarrassment. Anger is much easier and quicker, and violence settles everything, is what people think. You just smack you down and it's over.
That's
I,
right. Right.
I
Whether you're right or wrong,
right.
you're right. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whether you're right or wrong, you're right. Like
I won. Bam.
that's
PTSD.
right. I won. I will tell the story of this, and
Right.
how righteous I am to do so.
Yes, because the story is always written by the winner.
That's right. Every
Ask,
time.
ask every country that's ever gone to war. It's the winner who writes how bad the loser was and why they lost.
That's right. I mean, we hear about the Mayans all the time and how they sacrifice people, and it's like all of these things, right? It's just like, well, I was just in Guatemala, and they are proud Mayan people, but they don't have any of their culture. Like they do. They wear their clothes and they eat their food and they do all of these things, but it's like the Mayan, like
Yeah,
like pyramids and stuff, they're not still being built. They're not like no, like now you got huts that are selling gelato or whatever. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah. They all of their heritage was taken away with the invasion of the Spanish. They just
right.
took
And I'm Spanish, that's why I
everything
bring that up. So
and took it all. I'm Prince Cherokee, so
mm, my apologies, man. I'm Spanish, I'm American, like I got blood on my hands, man. We get it.
yeah, we all do. We all do. Our ancestors,
So
none of our ancestors came down or came from someplace else. I don't know. Everybody thinks that our I think I
So
came from outer space maybe sometimes. But I don't know about the rest of them, but still, yeah, it's everyone on this planet comes from someone else on this planet. It came from someone
that's
else
right.
on this planet. None of us
That's right.
started here. We started someplace else 100 years. I just got my wife the for her birthday the ancestry
Yeah.
app with the full package except for the DNA test that she got. I'm doing that for her separate, but she can go on there and she can hunt down anybody in her family. The whole thing. She got all the access to all the newspapers and everything. Just complete
That,
access. It's
that's
like
how
fifty
that's how
dollars a month for the next 300 years or something like that. But it's worth it.
that's yeah, that's how I found my family in Spain. And that's how I met my grandfather for the first time.
And then she's finding out stuff about. She doesn't know anything about her father's side of the family. He just doesn't talk about it. Her mother's side, she knows that they came from Native Americans, and but now she's finding out which Native Americans, what tribe, and where they were located, and what
That's
happened.
important.
Found out that one of her great grandfathers was Apache, and they even have a character in the Geronimo movie, an old movie Geronimo, named after him. That's his character. He's portrayed by an actor and telling the army, "No, I ain't gonna help y'all. Y'all go hunting down yourself. I'll track your deer, but I ain't gonna track my own people."
No, good on
And
him.
that's Mangus. It's Chief Mangus. That's her ancestor.
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, wow, he's so important that they put his character in a movie. That's
That
something you would never
yeah.
know
No,
without
it's
all
always
that
nice that,
background.
like, your story remains forever, right?
Yeah,
Like now it's here, you know. And it's great that, a bunch of colonials came out and, like, even wrote it in. That's beautiful.
yeah, yeah. And what's history gonna say about me? What's it gonna say about you? Are
Well,
we gonna leave something that says,
well,
if they don't remember Miss Ever, he was a good man who didn't have to take a drink when he died.
that's right. And see, this is where this one ends up, right? The master does his job and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and in trying to dominate events, he goes against the current of the Tao.
Right, right.
Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval.
Hmm.
Because he accepts himself, and this is it, right? This is the clincher. The whole world accepts him.
Exactly.
And
And
that's why you know your work will endure even after you've passed.
now I know I have a good legacy of sponsees that are still sober after uh, a couple of years being around me. I could surprising me they hadn't gone back out. God, I'm such a meanie, but no, I'm I'm a good guy. But yeah, I've got
If you want to come back up and land that, please do. Your time ran out. But that's a beautiful one to be looking at. 30. Um, Especially for you right now, and congratulations on your 30 years. 30 years in October. Um, in December I'll be 22, so we're old timers now. We're out here, old timers on the app. It's a beautiful thing, man. Being on here, being able to help just help steer the conversation.
oh yeah, it is. It's I mean, 30 years without a drink. I'm like, whoa, dude. God really likes you because I couldn't have done it by myself, and I couldn't have done it without the people and the friends that I made in the rooms, and uh, just finding that spiritual awakening through the steps. It just gives me that mindset as the what you've been reading this morning.
Yeah.
I'm powerless. I can't control anything out there in the universe. But if I do the next right thing and follow the teachings and the beliefs that I've picked up uh, since I stopped drinking and found people smarter than me, uh, I have no trouble. I have no problems. I have no quarrels with anyone. Uh,
Right.
I just
You
have.
know, so this reminds me of a good friend of mine, Andy Scarantino. She's on here. She's sober.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks, she's also a marathon runner. She was a smoker back in the day, and now she runs marathons and does all this stuff. And like over the last like 4 years or whatever, she ran like something like 5 or 7 thousand miles, right? Like she just kind of looked it up, and she was just like, oh damn, like I put on some miles. But if you were to, if someone goes into recovery and says, all right, I'm gonna get 30 years, that's gonna be daunting,
Yeah,
you
just
know. but
can't
but
do it
she talks
that
about
way.
this thing called like thump thump thump. Just like when she's running, she's just like, that's the sound of her foot running, right? It's just one step after another, thump 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 every day, thump 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 every day. Just kind of do your thing. And the goal isn't to achieve 5,000 miles in 4 years or whatever it is. Like
Right.
the goal is to just thump 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 right here, right now, thump thump.
Yeah, look where your feet is. That's where you is. That's
Damn right.
where you start from, and that's where you start from every day. Right where your feet is. The goal is not to get 30 years. The goal is not to take a drink today, and that's
That's it.
always been my goal. I not to take a drink today. And they say, well, you hadn't had a drink in 30 years. You know why? Because if I keep doing what I've been doing, I'll keep getting what I've been getting. So I'm concentrating on not taking a drink today.
Yeah, she also talks about that idea of like day one. You know, day one's the day you have the most enthusiasm and the most potential and the most everything. So every day is day one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you look back and you can say, "Oh, look, I got 30 years. Great, but today's still day one. What's up?" Like day one, full stop. Like that's
Right.
it's a really empowering sort of way of looking at things.
Yeah, and these counselors and the doctors and people who aren't a member of the program who try to tell us that they know better than we do what we're doing, and they say you got to set the goals, you got to look for the future, you got to. I said you got to sit down and shut up, dude. Please, you get a headache. So listen, we can't do it that way. We don't think like normal people. Okay, our
Yep,
goal is today, from 8 o'clock this morning to 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, 24 hours. If I
mm,
can go that long without taking a drink, then 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm gonna try and do it again.
yep. Thump, thump, thump. Like
They're
like
like,
Andy
no,
said.
no,
Like yeah.
you got to look at the future. You got to say, 20 years from now, 2 months from now, a year from now, I'll be
Yeah,
sober and I'll have this job and that. I said, when I'm in projecting and my anticipation and expectations of others is running around in my head, I am going to have a miserable day because nothing's going to work out the way I'm seeing it in my head,
that's right.
planning for it, projecting for it like you're telling me to do. If I do that, I'm gonna might as well just go ahead and crawl inside a big old bottle and stay there.
That's right. That's right.
We
Beautiful.
think like normal people because we ain't normal people. We ain't earthlings, man. We're different.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, yeah. So 30. That was great. Loved reading that with you. That was beautiful. And definitely join me again because the
I,
Tao is a powerful
yeah,
powerful thing.
I didn't realize how late it was. The alarm clock's going off. I got to get out the door, fast walking my dog and get him taken care of so I can get the rest of my stuff done today, which is just one thing at a time.
Yep. Thump thump. Like.
I don't have a list. I have a couple of things that I know I need to do because if I make a list, then I'm gonna get mad at myself if I don't complete it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The only list I make is a gratitude list every night.
Well, that's good. That's good. Stay grateful and enjoy that walk with your dog.
I do, and thanks, man. I've enjoyed it. Hopefully, we'll talk again soon.
We'll be in touch.
And I've listened to you talk with some of your other friends, the girl with the marathon. I've listened to you talk with her too.
Oh yeah, she's
I recognize some of it. I'm autistic. I don't remember a lot of things like names and birth dates and phone numbers and multiplication tables, but the things I do remember are conversations, and I remember
yeah.
your
We
conversation.
all learn differently, and I was
Yeah,
I even talk about the idea that like the fact that we judge people on their ability to be literate is a really silly judgment. Like it's a really
yeah,
silly
yeah,
measurement.
it is. I mean, I can read fine. I just can't write. I can't spell anything with more than 3 letters, but I
Yeah,
can read
it's like
everything.
I used to have that problem all the time. Like like I'm getting much better at it, but it just takes belief, and it takes just keep doing it, and like we were saying, just one step in front of the other.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now with the phones and everything, I can talk into it and it writes it out and spells it correctly, and I can
Oh
send.
yeah,
They go, God, he's a smart dude.
Yeah. Well,
Wait till you get to look at me.
it's good. It's good to have those shortcuts these days. Technology's helped us quite a bit.
Oh yeah, it's hurt us in some ways. I know my wife; she
Yeah.
can't remember a phone number now. She has to have her phone, and I'm like,
Yeah. Neither,
you
like
know,
if my phone goes dead, like I'm lost. I don't know anybody's phone number.
yeah. Well, I
Just
talked her into putting them all in a little book in her purse, and she'll be all right. So I
that's
couldn't
right.
remember
That's all you need.
anyway, so it didn't matter. I always got a little book somewhere with all the numbers in case the phone goes off.
That's smart. All right, man. Well,
Have a good one. You
you
take it
too.
easy. Gonna
We'll
get
be
some
in touch.
coffee. Walk the brat.
All right. Thank you guys so much. So, if anybody wants to step up, once again, I got to do a hard stop at 7 o'clock. So, that is 50 minutes away. So, we got plenty of time if you want to come up and pick a number between 1 and 81. I was reading number 19. So, I'm going to go back to 19 until someone wants to step up. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. We are going through this line by line now, so throw away holiness and wisdom. Holiness and wisdom. And this is an interesting thing because holiness kind of relates to that religious aspect, and wisdom relates to the education aspect. The next one is morality and justice, right? Like one of them is morality, is, I kind of look at that as being closer to the religious aspects of things, and then justice is closer to the nuts and bolts of law and right, like that's the separation of church and state kind of thing. Holiness and wisdom, church, state, or academics. Like how we so throw away holiness and wisdom. Holiness and wisdom. It's interesting. You look at people and you say, "Oh, they're holy," or "Oh, they're wisdom." All of a sudden, you're creating this hierarchy of someone being higher than you, or there's now a hierarchy of people, or hierarchy of like what is right and what is good, or whatever, like, and throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier because there's nowhere to go. There's no you're not going to achieve anything. Here in the world we have, and in school there's like people that are just more educated, and then you don them with gowns and all of that kind of stuff. And oh, speak of, oh, bad, so Andy's coming up. We were just talking about you on the last, I was
I know. I
talking.
was giving you like claps and hearts
Oh,
and
oh, thank you. I was just I stare off into space so often. I don't look at the screen very much. I always think like no one's listening to this. I'm
how
just
I think. Well,
listen.
when I do my podcast, that's the same way, except it's not live. Sometimes
Yeah.
when I'm on here, I'll think that as well. I'll be like, who the fuck is listening to this? And then all of a sudden there'll be people and they'll be clapping, and you're like, oh, there were people there. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
And
it
then
was. Yeah. We were reading. I don't know if you heard it all, but we were reading
you're
number
reading number
30, and
30, and I
yeah,
did hear, yeah, it was, yes, I heard all of it.
yeah.
It was
I
very
thought it was all
interesting
very
conversation.
aligned.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And
Love it. Yeah, like, you can't say enough about your thump. I mean, I got it written on my wall, so I can see. Like, I was actually just staring at that where I wrote thump on my notes, just as I was talking to William, and we were talking about it. So thanks for the inspiration.
you know what's interesting is that I follow William, and I followed him after the two of you had a conversation on recovery one day, and I didn't get a notification that you were here, but when he joined you, I did.
Oh,
So that was so interesting. So I just listened to the whole thing, and I thought it was great that the two of you brought in the idea of, because he was talking about having 30 years. So if he's still listening, congratulations on 30 years. That's awesome. But we don't think about 30 years in terms of 30 years. We think about it day one, thump thump, day one, thump thump, day one, every day. So it was great. It was really cool. I was glad that you guys got to explore that through the
yeah,
avenue of the Tao.
yeah, and yeah, just like that whole like day one.
Mhm.
So beautiful.
Day one.
Um, what was I gonna? There was something that came to mind, and
Well, you were going through 19.
I was going through 19. That was
We
my number for today.
we could go through 19.
Oh, I would love a little help going through my number. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I got no
So okay,
numbers.
so I will just read through it. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. Any thoughts?
I was just gonna let you continue.
Just let me
But
do
I
it.
jumped in right at the point where you said you're not gonna achieve anything, and I was like, oh, that speaks to my soul.
That speaks to me. You're not going to achieve anything. Yeah. Yeah. When we throw away holy, so okay, I'm just going to talk it out. So when we throw
Hmm.
away holiness and wisdom, there's this like holiness and wisdom infer to me that there is a hierarchy. There's a thing that you can attain, and then you go out and you try to attain it, whatever that is. There's holiness, and then there's wisdom on these on this. But I'm sure there's all sorts of stuff. It could be, it could be a C-suite job, right? It could be whatever it is. You're like, if you throw away all of that stuff, throw away the hierarchy, throw away the linear spectrum, and people will be 100 times happier. I also think throw away diagnoses, especially as it relates to mental health, and just be like, no, 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 they're good. Like, they're good. Like, yes, they have to deal with this, and our society doesn't want to deal with things like that because it goes against the norm, and it goes against the one thing that we all like we're told that we need to preserve, which is profit. And we'll
Right.
come to that later. You know, throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. So many of us, I think, I know for me, I mean, I've been able to get rid of this a little bit, but the idea that there is a right way to do things, and that
Hmm.
there is like, and that there's so much attached to the right way to do things. Like, we don't recognize that there everybody is doing their thing, and I think that we often get lost in this idea that if we don't stop a thing from happening, it's going to continue to happen.
Well, exactly.
But things stop happening all the time. like, like people walk away from things all the time. People stop doing things. People grow naturally all the time.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I think I've talked to you about this, about Howard Becker's becoming a marijuana user from like the late 50s or the early 60s, and that without other people and community, people would not use marijuana. They would just not do it because it's not enjoyable. Like they would just not understand it. They wouldn't understand any of it, and they would just not do it.
Yeah.
And but yet when it's highly illegal and then there's a grand debate in states as to whether or not it should be illegal, and now it's legal in some states and not in others, and now people are sitting in prisons for sentences related to marijuana when you can buy it anywhere. It's like then all of a sudden it becomes this big thing that we need to protect and what we want to do, and we want to continue, and we want to fight for our right to do it, and we want to be able to,
Mm,
and then we need to have the argument over legalizing it, and then we need to have the argument over all of this stuff, and then there just becomes this big thing, kind of like we build our egos. This is how we build on different shit, when honestly it's not even addictive. Like people probably wouldn't even use it, and if they did use it, they would use it medicinally and then just put it down. Like if we didn't have all of that social teaching of the culture of how to be high. And
right.
that was what that whole study was about. The whole study was about how, with marijuana specifically, not with other things. Like when you drink alcohol, you're drunk. But when with marijuana specifically, if you didn't have people to indoctrinate you into that culture, you wouldn't understand it. And I think that we do that a lot. That's just one example, but we do that a lot with it, with these deciding what's right and what's wrong, and it's because we don't want any negative outcome whatsoever. We don't want we want to control all of that and eliminate, and we want to eliminate all of the negative and just preserve the positive. But in every other species of the order on this planet, things do not function that way. Like a lion will go into the wild and eat a weaker animal. And that just happens. That's just part of the order. But because
Hmm.
we've developed to a level where we don't allow for that. Like
Right.
that is not okay with humans. We must protect life at all costs, prolong it. We must make sure that everything works in efficiency to allow that to continue. It's like people inflict rules on things that would probably be a lot smoother if we just didn't.
Yeah. And I look at, prohibition back in the, you know,
Oh, I went to the
the-
Prohibition Museum in Savannah, Georgia last summer. Yeah, I love this. The women
so
started that shit.
yeah, the
The
suffragettes. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So we look at prohibition, and that was a moral argument,
Yes.
and it became a
Yes.
justice thing. And the thing is,
Mhm.
is okay. So that was 100 years ago,
Mhm.
and we look now, and there is a growing voice for sobriety. There is a growing message around, not being there, and it happened naturally, not through law, not through, like, yes, there are still people that are out drinking, there are still people that are getting drunk, but there is a natural order of the conversation. Like, William just came on, 30 years, I'm here 20 years, you're here too. That's like 50 some odd years in a couple minutes that we are here representing. And that was like, just between the three of us, we have more sober time than prohibition lasted. Right? Like,
But yeah.
and we all arrived at it on our own, without, like, someone telling us that was what we needed to do. Because if someone told us we needed to do that, we wouldn't still be sober. We wouldn't still be here without it.
What's interesting about prohibition is that during prohibition, though, there was a just like everything, there was a tremendous rise in crime, and the mafia came in, and they
Right.
had to have their say, like they do now everything else. Like
I
it's
know I know here in Chicago, when restaurants closed down, the speakeasy came back.
oh, I bet. Yeah, we had it in, we had all kinds of parties and stuff
Yeah.
broken up in New York, and it's sort of like this goes to speak to how people behave when they're in positions. Now, granted, I that was the opposite of what you were saying about sobriety. That is the natural order of how things are going to progress, which is the larger conversation.
Right.
So it's
Things
like,
have, but you and Allison have talked about this idea of expansion and contraction.
right,
Right.
we have,
In
and
order in
yeah.
order to in order for something to shrink, you must let it expand.
Mhm.
And that's what was needing to happen, right? We forced through
A
prohibition, we were
contraction,
forcing the contraction of something when it needed to expand.
right?
And that's not natural. And so, like, people will do the right thing, but you have to throw away morality. You can't just like force it upon people. People will do the right thing, but you got to let them, you got to give them the space to do that.
Hmm.
Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. And there's nothing to steal, like,
Right.
if these three aren't enough, so throwing away holiness and wisdom, throwing away morality and justice, throwing away industry and profit, if these three aren't enough, just stay in the center of the circle and let all things take their course. So as you, myself, William, and everybody that's even on this app, as we kind of just step back and just observe, just
Mm.
watch it take its course. We don't have to put our spin on it. We don't have to make people believe anything. We can just sit here and let it take its course.
Even like with your body. somebody said, I was with somebody the other night who's now taking antidepressants because they had to give up weed, and they picked up weed when they gave up alcohol. And people talk to me all the time about this kind of stuff. Always doing, right? And I'm thinking about the center of the circle, sitting in the center of the circle, and I always say, you can do nothing. You can do nothing, and you will return to homeostasis if
Yeah.
you sit in the center of the circle and just let things happen.
Yeah.
And not everything has to be meaning making. Like everything around you is going to just happen. I was thinking about that as you were mentioning the three of us in sobriety. Everything is just going to happen, and you can just be there. And that's okay. Like not everything has to have meaning attached to how it's going to affect you personally. And you don't have to do anything to yourself to make the things that are happening more bearable. You just be there.
Yeah. Just stay in the center. Just be there and observe it. Like yesterday I had a heavy heart from whatever reason. I was just kind of like, I was like, oh, I'm heavy. And it had to take its course. I don't know why it came on, but it was there for an hour and then it just went away and I'm good, right? But it's like being here at the center and just observing things and letting things take their course, letting things kind of happen is a great way of just like just observing it, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's 19. It's a good one. Thanks for joining me and giving me a little space to be able to talk about it.
Well, I always love joining you on Tao of the Day.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna drop down if that's okay. I
Yeah,
hope you
absolutely.
have.
Marcy, I got Marcy in line, so we're gonna stay in the New York region.
I'm gonna stay and listen. I
All
will.
right.
All right. See
All
ya.
right. See you later. Marcy.
Grand
Morning.
Rising. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm doing very well. I'm having a good morning. I can't stop smiling, and
Oh, that's wonderful.
like I'm feeling good. I got a little shiver because I got an icy glass of my home brew kombucha, and for
Kombucha.
breakfast or whatever. It's just kind of how I do my Tao of the day. I get a little chill, and it's a little rainy out this morning here in the Midwest, and yeah, it's just a beautiful moment. Every moment that I'm alive.
And in my head, I've played about 5 different songs this just now. Oh,
Oh
what a
yeah.
beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
What's that from, Oklahoma? And then
It might be,
the,
yeah.
the musical. And then forget it. I will just take us down
Yeah.
the rabbit hole. I'm
We
not
could-
doing
we
that.
yeah we will get lost in Broadway really quick. So
So,
a number. I'm gonna
number
actually
5.
move. You and I are going to move over to the Hogan translation,
Ooh,
and we're gonna see
like
what
Hulk Hogan?
number. Like Hulk Hogan, yeah. Okay.
Number 5 is good.
I okay. Tao is neutral. It
No,
doesn't
no,
care about
I
good.
meant the number.
The number
Not
five.
not not the Dow. Yeah, just I figured 5 is a good number today.
Five is a good number today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got
Uh,
5 kids. 5 is a good number.
All right. So Tao is neutral.
Okay,
It
it's
doesn't
neutral.
it doesn't care about good or evil.
Mm-hmm.
And the masters are neutral. They treat everybody the same.
Mm-hmm.
Tao is like a bellows. It's empty, but you can help set the world on fire. If you keep using the Tao, it works better. If you keep talking about it, it won't make any sense. Keep cool. That's it. I like I
It's a good
like the
number.
the line I like the line the Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, but it could help set the world on fire.
It
I
can.
look at that as inspiration. I look at that as like the work that we do here when we talk to people to get them to just open up to themselves.
I'm always talking about fanning the flames.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a Sagittarius.
Sag.
A Sagittariist.
Sag what? I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I've got a friend who calls me that. He goes, "Hey, Sagittariist."
Sagittarius.
Yeah,
Terrorizing other people with your
apparently.
calm, and the thing is, like, like one of the things that I love about you as well is that, like, although I know there are some deep emotions, you don't I haven't really seen you express those through your voice. It's always very calm, and it's like whether you're telling a joke or whether you're telling a horrible, like, horror story or whatever, it's always very calm. It's always, and I can see that. I could see that. It's like I don't know what to think about what you just said.
Oh my God, Martin John, my children tell me that all the time. It's like, are you serious? We can't tell anymore.
Yeah, we
You,
can't
you
tell
could
anymore.
never tell.
Yeah. Yeah. The Dow, like, Marcy's voice is neutral. It doesn't care about good or evil.
Okay. Somebody called me a stoic the other day. I said, okay.
Stoic. Yeah, I would say I'm a stoic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a stoic. And I think, and I know Andy, I think, is also resides in the realm of stoicism. So I think we're all brethren out here in
I
in
think
the
so. I love Andy.
stoic
She's fabulous.
Oh yes, yes. I am in that camp. I'm in that camp,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. So the masters are neutral. They treat everybody the same.
Hold on. You just spilled some water, honey. Be careful. I just filled it up. It's okay. Don't be sorry. Just be careful. I'll clean it up. Just come have your breakfast. The down is neutral. The masters are neutral.
The Tao is neutral. The masters are neutral. We don't care about good or evil, and we treat everybody the same. And that's the thing.
Okay.
Like, there's no,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's cool. It's cool. Everyone gets treated the same. And yeah, I'm trying to kind of bring these two together. So if the Tao is neutral and the masters are neutral, now we move into the Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, but it could help set the world on fire. That's the emptiness, is the emptiness of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
The Tao is like a bellows, empty of judgment. It could help set the world on fire, because as soon as you or I or Andy or Lois or any of the people that are, like, there's so many people that are awesome on this app, but any of us that can step up to the plate, not be judgmental, we could set a fire in the chest of those, that in the bodies of those that we get to touch, because we're not judging, and we're just accepting people as they are right here, right now, and they can see how awesome they are. They can see how much they are loved.
Or they can see that they're not.
Loved?
No, I mean, they might just see their true selves.
Right. And that's what being empty is, right? That's what
Mm-hmm.
stepping up and seeing that, like, there is no judgment here. Now that I'm not judging, you can actually see who you are, because I can see who you are. I can see you so that you can see you. And that is stepping up in this way. And that's what's beautiful about, that's how these two connect, right? The masters are neutral. We treat everyone the same. We treat them without judgment. It's not that we treat everybody. You're not going to treat everybody in the same way you treat your daughter, right?
No,
Like,
of course not.
but you treat your daughter and everybody else without judgment, and you step up to this moment and treat them that way.
I work on it.
Oh yeah. And this is a constant. Like, this is the masters, right? The masters can step up and do that. The masters are neutral and treat everybody the same. Like, we're like, if I become a master, but the day I die, I'll be happy. But I don't expect, like, it's going to be work. It's always just like something we work on.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah. If you keep using the Tao, it works better. If you keep
Okay.
talking about it, it won't make any sense. I talk about it a lot. And Andy, I think it was Andy. The other day, she was just like, what does that say with you talking about it all the time? I'm just like, I get it. There's a paradox here, but I understand. But like This is it's just a beautiful offering for me to be able to come on here and talk about the Tao with everybody.
Well, I enjoy listening to you. I
Well,
enjoy
thank you.
speaking with you,
It's always a pleasure.
so I can lift up the bellows and fan them on you.
Oh, now you can just there is a fire in my heart, and so many, and like just when you said that, I just felt it like just grow. So I just really like the energy that we have access to from day to day or moment to moment is so deep. And if we could each just kind of contribute a little acknowledgement or a little awareness to how powerful our energy is, like and just be in touch with it in our body, like there are times, and this morning has been one of them, where I have to put my hand on my chest just to hold in all of that energy. It's all, sometimes I feel like my head's gonna pop off, there's so much.
It's a few nights ago, I was very anxious,
Hmm.
and I sat down and I said, okay, this has got to stop. I've got to stop feeling this anxiety. So I lit some candles and some sage. Drink some water. Drink some water. And I sat on my bed and I forced myself. I had to force myself to get control of myself. And then I started to meditate.
Yeah.
And when I started to feel better, I started getting a ton of text messages, literally, many, many
Hmm.
different people, all asking, hey, what's going on? I just thought about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other day, I texted Allison Sutton, I think her last name is. She's here on Wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
Allison, and I texted her just like, "Hey, just sending a little support. Hope you're doing well." She replied, "You are so intuitive," with a heart, and I was just like, I don't know what that, like. I don't know why, like, she said that or anything. I didn't even reply. I was just like, "Of course I am." I was just like we have to believe that we are in touch, and when we believe we're in touch, then we act as if we're in touch. When we believe that we're not in touch and we don't know, then we go against our body's intelligence, as we were talking about earlier with, I think, number 18. When we start looking at like that intuition and just being able to be here and be present and be like, you know what, this person is coming to mind, let me reach out, let me just send some love their way. And when we do that, when we can just allow that to spring from us, that's when we start really getting into ourselves. That's when we really start doing what I call like recovering who we are, recovering ourselves in a big way.
Well, interesting. Interesting. Very interesting.
And then the last line is just keep cool. Recently I read recently recently I read, and Andy told me I should look at this. It was a lecture course on the Bhagavad Gita by um, Ram Dass, and his
Ramdas.
and his the way he talked about it is just like anytime something happens, it's just like, hey, far out, like, cool, look at this, look at how angry I'm getting, far out, like, let's look at this. And that's what this keep cool like reminds me of. It's just like, hey, far out, like, it won't, like, if you keep talking about it, it
I
won't make sense. Far out.
No, yeah. I was removed from someone's stage, and my first instinct was to laugh hysterically.
You were removed from someone's
Yeah,
stage.
yeah.
Oh man, I here or on Clubhouse or
Oh, on here, on here. Uh,
wow.
and then the thing was like somebody says, "Well, what was his name?" I said, "I can't remember."
Mm-mm.
I
It's
just
not worth it.
I laughed so hysterically over it. I said, "Oh my god, that just happened. That's so funny."
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes people are just closed off to hearing shit, and who knows?
This is Lois. Lois called me when it happened. I can't remember his name, and for the life of me, yesterday I was trying to, and it
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
come up, and that
It
was
does. It's
that's me.
not
That's
even
hey,
for you.
it's
It's not even
because I
for you.
was looking for a laugh yesterday,
Yeah.
I'm looking at funny things that happened the last few days.
Yeah.
Like Daniel, my Daniel calls
Yeah.
me squiggly. I don't know why. So I just
That's
looked at
cute.
him, and yesterday I said, "All right, blockhead," and he said, "What?"
Did you ever like it's funny, did you there's a like I know this isn't like squiggly is not the same, but there's a cartoon from like the 60s that is the line and the scribble. Do you remember that animation?
I think so. They make all these different shapes and play together. The
Yeah, and
line,
like
yeah.
and like the squiggle is like this kind of jazzy,
Mm-hmm.
person,
Yes.
and and they both have the same love, and the love is like they both are interested in the same, quote unquote woman, and that woman is a circle, and and the squiggle is really fun, but the line turns into this like that gets control of himself and turns into this it has the ability to do all of these
Oh,
beautiful
because he finally
geometric
bends.
things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, and
geometric
it's
was exactly the word I was thinking. Wow.
yeah, and so it's just and it made me think of that. Just like not that you're a scribble, but
A
the
squiggle.
squiggle was yeah. Yeah,
I do remember that. Oh my God. Thank you for that.
and check it out, because one, some of the best design ever. Like, it's beautiful and it's fun and it's interesting and it's like it's deep. I really I introduced it to a friend of mine, who never was able to watch cartoons as a kid, and she loved it. She's a designer, and it's definitely from the Beat era, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
love I love all of those. I love cartoons still.
yeah, yeah.
I use
Yeah.
them as my excuse to watch them, but I don't need an excuse.
No, you don't.
All right. This was fun.
Marcy, I love you.
I
Thank
love
you.
you too, Martin John. I will talk to you later.
Yes, we will.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
Bye bye. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
All right. Well, that is it for me today. I know Lois was in the room, so if Lois, you're still listening, why don't you come up? Otherwise, I am going to be closing this room out just so I can get out to the airport. And I got a lot of I got a lot of moving parts today. A lot of moving parts today. All right, Lois. Lois is coming up, and then we're going to make a hard stop after Lois. Welcome back, Lois. Uh-oh, guest has left. Okay. Well, I'm still here. So, if you guys appreciate what I do, please consider giving me a follow, as well as checking out my new subscription plan. I do have a subscription plan, so you'd be able to have a one-on-one private conversation with me every month, as well as getting other content as well. Lois, welcome back.
Hey, my brother, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Was there some glitching, or did you step away?
Yeah,
What's
there
going
was glitching. First, I answered the call, and then when I came back, Marcella's picture wasn't on my screen, but I was still able to respond because she was talking about that guy. I don't know his name either because I don't pay attention to the names because I don't remember names,
on? Mm-hmm.
so I don't even try.
It's
So,
classic.
so I didn't pay attention to his name, but I was laughing at that. And then I was waiting, and then you said, "Oh, Joyce is not here," and I'm thinking, my clock is turning around in a circle."
Oh.
And then you picked it, and then it didn't go in. So I went out and went in about 3 times. So
Oh. Well, I'm
anyway, I
glad.
still got here.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
get
you
a
know
number.
what? Since the main number that was been in my mind was 8, I thought it was something else, but evidently it took 3 times to get in. So I guess I got to go back to 38. And I know I've heard it before because I know the 38 sounds familiar, but the 3 and the 8 came up because I was going to tell you pick a number with 8 at the end.
Yeah, this is. I think we covered this one. This was the long one. Let me
Was
see
it?
if this is. It might be. Like, people with integrity don't even think about it. Yeah, we covered this just
Okay, so
years
it's
ago.
coming back. What?
Yeah.
Okay, that was weird. Anyway, evidently, I must need to hear it again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
let's
be
go
real. I
through it.
must need to
Let's
hear
go
it again.
through it. Let's go through it. Let's see what we get. People with integrity don't even think about it. That's how you can tell they have integrity. Other people talk about it. Other people talk about how much integrity they have when they really don't have much at all. Truly powerful people don't do anything, but they get the job done. Other people are always busy doing something, but never get anything done. When kind people act, they do so without thinking about it. When just people act, they're always sure they're doing the right thing. But when righteous people act and nobody reacts, they try to force everybody to do things their way. If you're not in touch with Tao, at least you can still have integrity. If you don't have integrity, there's always kindness. If you don't have kindness, there's always justice. If you don't have justice, all you're left with is righteousness. Righteousness is a pale imitation of true faith and loyalty, and always leads to trouble. If
Okay,
you've all
okay.
Go
Go
on.
ahead. Go ahead.
If you've already made up your mind, you don't know the first thing about the Tao, and you never will. The masters pay attention to what's beneath the surface. They'll look at the tree's leaves, but eat the fruit. They turn all that down so they can accept this.
Wow. Okay. So I hadn't heard that one in a minute, but part
Oh,
of it I heard. For some reason I heard it. It must have been in my head.
yeah.
The past few weeks, I told you I've been going through stuff because I've been because I was fracking where I didn't need to frack.
Okay.
That you
Okay.
don't need to frack at all. It comes up organically. Okay, I'm gonna say it like that. And the thing is that I was questioning a lot of things, and then when I finished the fracking exposition, and God showed me that this is what you're doing. You know what you know. Why are you doing this? And because it was because I was at a low point and I questioned somebody said to me, and so I went digging to see if that was in me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, but I put holes in me during that time I was doing the digging because I had no business digging where it didn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And for normally I just am. Okay. Period. I just am. And this one tells me basically how you can go up that vibrational ladder or go down that vibrational ladder depending on your attitude. And as long as I know, and this is what God said, you know who you are. Why are you letting people make you question who you are? Okay,
Yeah.
you know what you've been through. And he ran down a list, laundry list. By the time he finished, reminding me of everything that he had rescued me from. Like my sister said, my rest was cued, and he got me out of
Mm.
that stuff. Why would I question what I've been through because somebody said something to me? But I'm
Right.
thinking I left something in that. I left some dirt in that hole or something. And
Mm-hmm.
then he had told me, no, what happened was when you are your vibration is calibrated and you raise your consciousness, and your internal world becomes more solidified, the external world really has no effect. Okay, so all that stuff that was going on with the moon, all that stuff, it does not have to affect us when we raise our vibration to a certain thing. And in fact, like you said, we can then it doesn't have an effect on us, we can move clouds, like you told me. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I used to do that shit when I was a kid, and then I used to say, okay, and then I used to read them and say, that's the shit. It looked like a rabbit in the air. Oh, that looked like an angel. Oh, And then I was like, watch them reshape, watch them, and I would tell my kids we'd be laying on the grass just looking up at the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
And then by saying that this person, the integrity, they don't even question it. So then that made me say, okay, wait a minute, why did I do that? And then I realized that I listened to a judgment about me, and because I wanted to make sure it wasn't about me, I fractured me. I fracked it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the machine that tears up the earth to get to the gems, I'm thinking I'm gonna get to a gem because I missed this. That's why I went fracking, and I wasn't supposed to frack. Now that left me
Oh,
with
and
hope.
there's nothing, you can't miss it. And
No, I
that's the
can't.
thing.
No, no. When it comes up, I can't miss it. And the thing
No.
is, I said, when I show you something, this is how I show you. This is how I show you. And I'm thinking, okay, all right. So now I'm good. And this just tells me it back again. You calibrate. My calibration went off.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't go into that righteousness. I didn't get that far down the line. I didn't go all the way
That's
back.
right.
That's bullshit. Okay, I'm gonna be
Yeah,
real.
that's the
Get
that's the
back down
beautiful
to that.
thing about this chapter, right?
I stepped away from who I was for a minute because I thought I had missed something, and
Yeah.
God didn't tell me that. Somebody else said it,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's
basically,
God. What are you
yeah,
talking about?
you know what I mean. So I said,
That's
"Oh,
God.
okay." So then, so I learned a whole lot, and from it anyway. Regardless, I did get some gems from the fracking exposition, but the gems I get when I actually go through something I need to heal without fracking, uh, I get so much more. So much
That's
more.
right.
The gems I
Absolutely.
get is so much more when they come up organically than me going down and digging for something that wasn't there in the first. And that's what he brought to me. It wasn't there. That's why you didn't find it. It wasn't there because it's no longer there. It's no longer your truth.
And it's that, it's not it's so interesting, like this brings up to me a conversation I've been having a lot recently, which is it's not yours.
Yes.
It is you can have all the money in the world, but all the money in the world isn't yours.
No, it
You
isn't.
have it, but it's not yours. You have
No.
access to it. You just like in the Tao, we talk about this idea of like when you understand you have everything you need,
Uh-huh.
you are truly rich. It is not that you own
You
everything.
don't possess
You
it. You don't possess
have, right.
it all.
You don't possess it. You
Yes.
you you have access to it all. Like all of
Yes.
the money in the world is yours. You can go ahead and buy stuff, whatever, but it's not yours, right? It's not yours to possess.
No, it's not. None of it is because
Not even these actions.
because if it was for you to possess, when you die, to go with you.
That's right.
you know. So,
Ain't nothing go
like I
with you.
said, yeah. So my thing is that I realized came back to it was all about energy and vibration and calibration. And when you get calibrated to a certain level, you don't lose you don't lose the calibration, but you if your vibration lowers, it'll lower it'll lower that calibration, and then you start feeling wonky. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be real. It was wonky that I was feeling, and I couldn't fit because it wasn't a word I could describe it. It was just
Right.
wonky. Like what
Yeah.
is this feel? Like you was something. What is this feeling? So I had to feel the. I had to go back. God had to take me back by taking me to different circumstance to feel what I feel when He actually really is telling me it's danger. Get out. You know.
That's right.
I had to
That's
go
right.
through that. That's why this came. That's why this came back because it's still tied to the other thing, and I'm still. It is still coming clear to me what I did, why I went through what I went through, in the wonky feelings, the
Hmm.
wonky vibration that was like boing 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 boing,
Yeah.
and that's what it was doing, boing 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 boing, and I'm thinking, what is wrong with me? What did I do? And then
You know.
I woke up with that you fracking yourself, and I didn't know nothing about fracking.
Right.
Nothing about fracking.
It's interesting because here, like in this, we talk about like truly powerful people don't do anything. So
Yeah.
when you feel that way and you like, like so some of the first instincts, I don't know if this is for you. I mean, I know you're pretty advanced in the work that you do. Like, you just sit with it. Like yesterday, I was telling Andy, like
Yeah.
I think I was telling Andy, I was telling, I sat here. No, I was telling Marcy, like I was feeling heavy hearted yesterday and I was like, I don't know why that's there, but
Uh-huh.
I'm going to sit here. I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to live with this for this moment. I'm not going to be afraid that it's not going to go away.
Hmm.
I'm not going to add anything to it. I'm not going to say that there's anything that caused it. I'm not going to try and create story. I'm just going to be here with this feeling. And I felt it. And within an hour and a half, it went away. I never discovered what it was. It didn't matter. It's just that's where I was, and I just was able to feel it, and I didn't have to do anything.
Hmm. Yeah. That's where, since I've been to that part, and then where I'm not doing anything, and then it felt like maybe I was supposed to be doing something, and that's what happened.
Yeah,
That's what happened. Maybe I'm supposed to be doing something. Maybe I missed that. Maybe that's not. And the thing is that wasn't the case because whenever I miss something, God tells me by bringing somebody else in my face to show me where I need to be healed.
that's
Nobody
right.
was in my face to tell me, show me where I was supposed to be healed. I went digging for something. So
Yeah,
it's that, and digging, you fracture just like fracking. You fracture the core, you fracture the earth, the crust, or whatever to get down there to get the gems. Yeah, you'll get a gem, but you won't get the big, beautiful gems that you get when you allow them to unearth organically. So I learned that lesson. So now I know. Be still. Again, back to where it was when God first started teaching me. Be still and know.
Yes.
Oh, and just know, you know, and that if he's gonna talk, if he's talking to me, he's talking to me. And like I said, when he does, boy, oh boy, he does. And then y'all hear it. I'm like, whoa, whoa, that was okay, okay. But my biggest thing is we got to realize everybody has to realize that our vibration is like blood pressure and blood sugar. That shit don't remain static. That shit go up and down with every thought and everything. And it's a little bitty yo-yo effect. You only want a little yo-yo effect. You don't want the big drop. You don't want the
Right.
big yo-yo all the way up, all the way down. You want to bounce it around that calibrated area. You just want to bounce around that balance, And you're gonna go down a little bit. You're gonna go up, you're going down. But every time you go up, you don't lose ground. When you go down, you don't lose the up you have. You just don't have availability of the stuff that on that up level. And that's what I was shown too. So even though it was something I shouldn't have been doing to myself, I still got something from it. But that was unnecessary mental energy or physical. Well, no physical energy, unnecessary mental energy that was spent on something that I shouldn't have been looking for because it wasn't there. That's like a dog digging holes in the backyard looking for a bone he didn't bury. And I won't do that shit again. Okay, and if it comes up again, I'll have the opportunity to make the same mistake over and over again until I get it right. So I'm praying the next time that I'll be able to just be like I've been doing and just let it pass and just view it as it is and recognize that that's not mine. Because I forgot the whole Ho'oponopono because I trust the source.
Right.
Okay, how about that? And we can't trust that.
And that's what Ho'oponopono is all about anyway.
Yeah, that's where I went wrong.
I mean,
I
you don't need a ritual when you have it within you.
Yes, there, man. That was bottom line. That's what he was wanted me to see in clarity.
You
And when
know.
you get to a certain place, certain things don't affect you. Just like when you come off the vibration of depression, that lower stuff, that sickness and all that stuff starts moving away because you're not on the vibration of sickness no more.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't mean that you can't never get sick again. You're just not on that vibration anymore. And you recognize where you are, but I didn't recognize that part that went away. That's why I went looking for it.
Yep. And that's
And
when you start getting lost.
yes, when I started getting lost, started digging all them holes in my backyard and start tripping.
That's right.
So I'm learning. I'm look. All this is a learning process for everybody, and I'm learning. And I appreciate you, and I definitely appreciate this, Doc, because I did needed to hear that again. That I'm at peace when I be still and know that He is God and that He's talking to me, and I don't have to pay attention to all that exterior chatter. That's
That's
just
right.
my chatter. So thank you, Martin. I appreciate you
Absolutely.
sticking by.
Appreciate you too. Love you, Lois. Okay, well, I am making the hard stop here. So, everybody that is listening, everybody that's here, thank you so much. Appreciate you and appreciate the Tao. The Tao has given me so much. I hope it's giving you just as much. If you appreciate what I do, you're going to want to check out my subscription service. I am going to be doing, I do have subscriptions now for those of you who are interested in recovering yourself. You'll be able to get discounts on my workshops. You'll also be able to have one-on-one conversations with me every month, private one-on-one, and we're going to get you in a place where you can start recovering yourself. All of you. I'll be dropping you little nuggets so that you can continue growing. It doesn't always going to include the Tao, but sometimes it will. Who knows? I'm definitely a part of that subscription service is also here on Wisdom. You will get if you subscribe, you will get moved to the head of the line every time I'm here. So if you're a subscriber, you will be talking to me first. Thank you so much for joining me for Tao of the Day. I'm your host, Martin John. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.